Hello, quilters. It is Tuesday, and such a shock for my part of New York this summer. It's going to rain. So I think we're going to make it through before the storms, so I won't have to worry about the power going out. But it's looking like a doozy's on its way, or it feels like a doozy's on its way. So, how was your weekend? Did you get some quilting done? I've been quilting a lot, and I'm going to be quilting even more as the week goes on, because every day this week is supposed to get hotter. And today we're close to 90 already. So it's going to be pretty hot by the end of the week. Hello in Kissimmee. Okay, so maybe 90 is not that hot for Kissimmee, Florida. Hello, hello. I have a few things to talk to you about today, and really excited about things I have planned, things that are in the works, and things that I'm just not showing you yet. But I have some input that I'm going to ask from you because I am working on finishing up some quilts, and I don't see people or quilters in person. So maybe you can help me pick some fabric and help me decide what to do. Hello in South Carolina. Um, So let's see. I asked a question on social media earlier this week. I pulled out a bunch of gray fabric and was working on color blocks. And I said, how many color blocks can I get out of this pile of scraps? So here's one of the pictures I posted. So I have this, and then there were a lot more fabric, and I have it all set up next to my sewing machine. I was doing some late night. I'm not feeling like doing anything hard sewing, so sewed a whole bunch of them. I finished up a spool of sewing thread. Right now I'm using Sew Fine from Superior on the top and Deco Bob in the bobbin. So I'm using a 50 weight polyester in the needle and an 80 weight polyester in the bobbin because I get more yardage on the bobbin, and it works really great for me. I'm just finishing up some spools that I have. So happy to have that one. We'll see if I can sew enough this week to finish up another one. So I asked how many would that a stack of gray fabrics that I showed you, how many color blocks would that make? Well, I haven't finished it yet because there's still a lot of fabric there, but I'm at 58 right now. Which is good because I need some gift quilts, and I'm thinking color block quilts will be the way to go. I need a lot of gift quilts. Oh, Molly, let's see. Molly, it's in 90s in central Illinois. Humidity is bad, but sweet corn and tomatoes are great. I need to find a sweet corn place because my farm doesn't grow corn. And if they do, they sell it at like the frou-frou New York City markets because they take a truck down weekly. So I don't get fresh local corn. Tomatoes. Oh, I pulled some tomato sauce out of the freezer from last year. And it was just, I threw all my heirloom tomatoes in a pot with some basil, and that was it. And then I just froze it, and I pulled out a quart for lasagna rolls because I made lasagna noodles and rolled them with, it was cashew ricotta because I didn't have ricotta. So I made ricotta out of cashews. Yes, you can do that. And with shredded zucchini filling, and the sauce on it was amazing. It was so sweet, and the only spice was just some fresh basil. It was delicious. So I am looking forward to tomatoes. I have 2 more quarts of sauce from last year in the freezer. Today I just got the last green peppers out of the freezer before pepper season starts. So yeah, I'm really tempted to go buy a bigger freezer because my freezer is a chest freezer, and it's about the size of a washing machine, but rectangular. So you dive down into it. And that's just full of meat. So I would like one full of prepared meals that I could just pull out. But, I don't think I need that, but I want it. I do. Right now I'm drowning in zucchini and eggplant. And last night I made moussaka cottage pie. And so it's just a basic cottage pie, shepherd's pie, meat and sauce with potatoes on top. But in the meat and sauce, you put eggplant and zucchini, and the spices are more Greek. And then I had some feta from the farm. I get cheese in my farm basket every week, and it was whipped feta, and it was green feta, which was with herbs. So I just put some of that in the mashed potatoes. It was so good. tonight, I don't like the dinner tonight, but I cooked it for my husband. So I'll have some more last night's dinner. Yeah, it every week. It's just, oh, what are we getting from the farm? More good stuff. So, and I'm taking the next couple of days off cooking other than what I just put in the crock pot. Because it's just going to be really hot. So I'll have plenty of time to make more color blocks. I have this morning started with me having an 8 o'clock doctor's appointment. I had an 8 o'clock doctor's appointment 45 minutes away from home, and Princess is used to sleeping in the morning. So I was tired. I came home, had a nice cup of tea, working on cool drinks now, but there'll be more tea later. I need to fire whoever scheduled that appointment. They only do that one appointment at 8 o'clock in the morning, and they only do it 45 minutes away from my house. Nothing was wrong. It was just an allergy testing, believe it or not, because I had a new drug allergy in the fall for antibiotics, and it was really tough going through pneumonia this winter, being allergic to everything penicillin, everything sulfa, and then another family of drugs. So yeah, I just had to sit and take meds and then wait a couple hours. But I wrote August's color block pattern for you while in the doctor's office. It was pretty exciting. On the table, the little exam table where you pull out the table underneath, that's where my laptop was sitting. Pretty exciting. Hello, I'm glad to see everybody here. So now let's see what is coming up this week as the weather's getting darker. Let me share my screen again. Okay, so those are the color blocks. I have 58 gray color blocks so far. Next month's quilt is not gray. I just happen to be making gray. Next month's quilt can be any color you want it to be. This month's quilt is ladybugs, and it's finished. And it's hanging behind me, and here's a glamour shot. I know a lot of the year, I say, oh, it's so hard to get good photos here because it's too dark. Because I live under the canopy of the trees, and the only space where I can get light is in my driveway, which is where I'm standing to take this picture. But last week was too sunny, so all the pictures were really, really blared. But I'm never happy, am I? There's a close-up. So that is live in Color Blocks Goes Wild 2023. That is uploaded this week for you. It's already there, and your newsletter should be coming in now because I scheduled it to ship out at 2:30 today. I had way too much fun quilting this quilt. I intended to quilt it very simply, and I was just enjoying sitting there quilting, so I kept adding more thread and more thread and more thread. And I talk about that in the video. You love it? Oh, me too. I was just going to quilt loops all over it. And I'm like, maybe I'm going to put some ribbon candy in. So I put ribbon candy in. And then I'm like, well, then I'll quilt loops just over the blocks. But I didn't do that. So it has a lot of thread on it. And it made me really, really happy. Let's see. So that is the color block. Now, I wanted to ask you questions about color blocks, because I'm looking at finishing out the 2021 class. I have one quilt left to put in it, and I hope to quilt that in the next week or two. This year, let's see, this is July, August, September, October, November. Should only have 7 quilts in it because I skipped February, March, April, May, and June. I was thinking of trying to get 12 quilts in there and doubling up on some months, or just accept that this is a shorter year. I'm trying to figure that out. I am a Law and Order fan, and Law and Order ran from 1990 to 2010. And I think it was Law and Order, but I know like one season of a show, there was a writer's strike or something, so that it was a short season. Like all seasons had, say, 26 episodes. One season only had like 14. I think it was Law and Order. Anyway, this could be, I had a pattern every month for 2021, 2022, 2023 was a short year. So do you want more quilts? Because I do have more animal quilts planned. Do you want them to come faster, or do you want to just keep going with the one in a month, and we'll just let bygones be bygones and move on from here? So let me know what you think about that. And what are you thinking about color blocks next year because I have more. Like I have a couple years more of patterns. There's always more to do. So let me know if you're interested in continuing on. And I have a couple other things that could replace it, but I'm kind of digging the color blocks, especially since I'm getting stacks and stacks and stacks of these. Let's see. So that was color blocks. Your pattern is written. There are 7 color blocks in next month's quilt. I've almost finished the top, and the pattern is written. So that'll be out next month, next Tuesday. Let's see. Animal quilts, 1 a month forever. We'll trade for cookies. Okay, I was thinking about next year not having a theme, and just because I was thinking like I could do a year's worth of baby quilts, I could do another year of animals, but it could just be some of whatever like I've been doing. Let's see. Accept it, we need to catch up. That's one thing I wanted to make sure I didn't do, was overwhelm you. I don't want to do that. What I do plan on doing though is catching up on the machine quilting videos that I haven't finished from last year. So those will be coming, but I don't think that'll overwhelm you too much. Work at a pace that works best for you. Oh, you're so kind. As I've said flat out, I have some family stuff coming up this fall that could take a month or two. I am working ahead a little bit, so that there will be content while I'm potentially gone. But yeah, you never know what happens with stuff like that. Do whatever you feel like doing. You'll welcome any quilts. Oh, that's so sweet of you. Thank you. And surprise us. Yeah, it's a surprise for me every day what happens. I'm cutting fabric for a new YouTube video for next week, and you have a new pattern coming out next week. So that's what you got. We do need 2025 color block quilts. Well, I have enough patterns. Who knew what all you could make from a 16 patch? Did you know? I knew. I knew. I didn't know when I started. I was like, how am I going to get 12 quilts out of this? And we're on year 3 with extras. Crazy. Okay, so that's color blocks. Another thing I have going is the As the Bobbin Turns, where you get extra videos. Let's see, there's another one. We'll enjoy whatever you put out. Oh, thank you. You guys are truly, truly the best. I can tell you, knowing other quilt industry professionals, that some people aren't very nice about content. They're like, my newsletter came on a Tuesday or instead of a Wednesday. And I have goals of getting you a newsletter once a week, and I have not kept them this year. I'm working on it. But my thought is, it's free. You'll get it when you get it, because life happens. In my life, in my life, things really happen quite often, medically speaking. But no one, through all the inconsistencies, when my back was out and I had to take a month off, when I had COVID and in the hospital and took 5 months off, everybody was so wonderful. So you guys are the best. You really are. And every day I wake up going, I'm going sewing, and I got to get this out for them next week, and I want to do this, but I don't want to put out too much because I don't want to overwhelm anyone or stress them out. So you guys are the best. Now, in my As the Bobbin Turns, and I want to thank the members who stuck with me while I was sick and not putting out any content. I'm trying to make it up to you now. I have more content in the class. Let me show you what's coming out now. Okay, so there is the Ladybug quilt, which is called Fly Away Home. See, I did some leaves down here and ribbon candy and meandering. And then this is in my As the Bobbin Turns. It's really blared out. There's a white print chicken, and then there is a gray print chicken. But it was really, really, really sunny this weekend. And that's the best I could do. So this is a Lori Holt quilt that I love. Lori Holt. Like, I'm a huge super fan of Lori Holt. The piano key border on this is my edition because this is made with leftovers. This is a scrap quilt. I sold the line of fabric, but I had like a half a yard of this left, a quarter yard of that left. I didn't have enough for borders. So I did piano keys and it worked great. But knowing I was doing these chickens, I quilted chicken wire on it. And I used a ruler for it. I love this quilt so, so, so much. And there is the chicken wire that I quilted on it. And you can see this is science fabric. It's Big Bang was the name of the fabric. I really, really had fun quilting it. It was pretty quick. I have grand chickens, so I'm kind of partial to chickens. And I was talking to a young mom at church on Sunday. I'm in charge of checking in all the little kids because we have to give them the stickers to make sure they get right back to the right parent and everything. So I do all the computer work for that. I was talking to a young mom and we were talking about her chickens. So now I need to make another chicken quilt. Let's see. Oh, Patty, you meant 2024, but 2025 will be loved. Oh, you're so kind. I am enthusiastic about quilts, and I hope you realize I'm not making this up because I was at a doctor appointment at 8:00 this morning, and I don't do 8:00 in the morning. Since I stopped working, since I stopped traveling with COVID, like March 3rd, I think my last day out was March 9th, 2020. And I've taught like in person a couple days since then, just this spring. I've been in the habit of sleeping in. So this 8:00 appointment, that was for the birds. Whatever works, and you'll still make me cookies. Oh, you're the sweetest. I will always accept cookies. I might have made a cake yesterday, and I have a cake recipe that works. I sent it out in your newsletter, that chocolate craving cake from I Am Baker, and it works so well in the toaster oven because I've said goodbye to my oven for the summer. Let's see. Janet, did I use up the Big Bang fabric for that quilt? Yep. All I had left was scraps. There's no more Big Bang. I mean, I have got enough to maybe cut about 50 2.5-inch squares. A few of these, a few of those. It's gone. And I definitely used it in that border. I used everything up just trying to get that quilt done. The next, let's see. So yeah, I cut everything up trying to throw it in the border. And I have a little pile on my cutting table. I'll put a picture on social media. It's the end of the line because that was from a while ago. But this used up all the fabric in that border, which I think made it very charming. I'm really pleased with it. The next bit of fabric I have to use up, let's see. The next line is almost gone. I have 4 bolts left. Let's see, I happen to have a fabric drawer next to me. I have scraps of the stag and thistle left, which I have a dress of this. I have a tablecloth out of this line. I've made some quilts out of it. So these are like the odds and ends I get. A little bit from backing samples, from the samples I've made, from my dresses. Something that's too small to sell is my end of bolt, because I do end of bolt sales on the website. So I have a drawer here. So the next scrap quilt like that will be from what is left of my stag and thistle fabric. Let's see. My dear friends made me a wonderful and delicious chocolate cake for quilting some quilts. That's wonderful. I quilted a quilt for someone at church. Like everyone, it was a baby shower and they drew pictures on it with markers and stuff, fabric markers. And I put sashing on it and sewed it together and finished it. And I got a gift certificate to Cold Stone Creamery, where I never go because we never go out ever. And that's not a complaint. We don't go out. But it was so nice on Sunday. I cooked a delicious dinner and then I'm like, get in the car. We're going to go have some Cold Stone Creamery. And it was very, very yummy. I have a standing phone call at 8:00 every night with my mom. And so I had to call and say, I'll be late tonight because we had to go out and get ice cream. but it's so nice. And I didn't expect anything in return for it. I was happy to do it for her, but Cold Stone. Let's see. So let's go back to that quilt, that chicken quilt. I did quilt the ribbon candy, and I'm going to show you what I did with it. The video is in that As the Bobbin Turns subscriber area. Now, I used this ruler, the Wave F ruler, and this is 4-inch wide waves. Either this is a 3/4 of an inch, and this is 1 1/4 inch deep. The ruler lists for $24.95. I have a couple on my website for $14.95. Sorry, I needed to get a drink. In your newsletter, I don't think the price will show up because I didn't put it on sale until after I scheduled your newsletter. But they are $14.95 when you put them in your shopping cart. So if this is a template you've been looking to get, this is $10 off. I wanted to make you aware of that. So let's see what's next. Oh, so what's next now? Let's see. Let me go back. Okay, so what is next is I am finishing up quilts. I'm quilting my UFOs. I told that to my husband and he didn't understand. I never realized, I didn't clue him in on what UFOs were. But this is another Lori Holt quilt I made, and this is called Bloom. This was all hand appliqued from all of my Happy fabrics. And it took a couple years. And it's done up to, this is the block right here. The block is the one sashing around each block. And then the second sashing around the top is the inner border. So I want to put a border on it, and I'm trying to, so that I can quilt it. And that will go in As the Bobbin Turns when I quilt it. So this is some fabric I have from Doohickey Designs from Shari Butler. I thought it was just a really happy fabric, and that's my only rule for fabrics that are in this quilt. You can see it's actually in the quilt in one of the sashings on the bottom right. But it's kind of busy, so I was thinking of putting a black spacer border in there, floater border, and I'm wondering if black was too harsh. Like my neutral whenever I deal with colors is yellow. So now I think I'm going to look at a plain yellow border. What do you think about that, about a spacer border? Yeah, that's the end of my pictures for the video. Let me come back to you. So let's see. Patty, can I use that ruler with a regular sewing machine? The answer is yes and no. I can use it on my sewing machine because I did. My sewing machine is high shank, and I can use a 1/4 inch ruler. That is a long arm quilting ruler. It is a 1/4 of an inch. So if you have a high shank machine, it can work on there. If you do not have a high shank machine, do not use it. Students ask me all the time about home sewing machines. Can I just use a high shank ruler on a low shank machine? And my answer is usually, well, do you like your machine? Because using a high shank ruler on a low shank machine can break your machine. And I would hate to do that. In the video, I do talk about, every video I do starts with use the right ruler, use the right foot. Rulers are standard for all long arms. For home machines, they aren't standard because there's short arm, there's short, low shank, high shank, and there's other things, other ones. But I only quilt on my high shank machine. I have a high shank machine for machine quilting, a low shank machine for my piecing. It's an industrial machine that goes really, really fast. Did that answer? Hopefully that answered. So what do you think about the borders on that quilt? I'd like to get that quilted because I've worked so hard on it, and I think I'm going to have to keep that one unless it's for a grandbaby or something. That one, that's a quilt that can't go to just anybody. I gave away a quilt while I'm waiting for answers. I gave thoughts about the quilt borders for my Bloom quilt. I take a bag of quilts to church on Sunday whenever I find quilts or samples that I don't need anymore. I just take a bag of quilts to church, and someone was talking to me. I handed them a quilt, and they said, oh, I'd love a quilt. I'm like, would you like this quilt? They're like, oh, Isn't it great that we get to do that to people, that they're like, wow, you made that? I would love to give this to you. And I have more people I'd love to give quilts to, hence more color blocks, because these quilts are quick. You have the Janome 9400 let's see. Janome 9400 high shank machine. Yeah, you just need the ruler foot. And on Janome, it is called, it's a convertible free motion quilting foot, I think. So the Janome free motion foot comes where you unscrew it and put on an open toe foot or a closed toe foot at the bottom. So here's the foot, and then it has two bottom pieces. And then you just buy a third bottom piece that's the ruler attachment for it. That's exactly what I use on my handy quilter machine. It's the exact same type of thing. So it'll look exactly like my videos do. So next week, I hope that there will be oh, I'm so sorry. My computer is dinging at me. Let me mute that other site. It means I have a friend talking to me, but oops. Yeah, quilting on home sewing machines with rulers is something I've specialized in for a long time. I wrote a book on it back in 2008, maybe 2007. 2006. I really don't remember. We're in the second printing. So it's really funny now that it's really popular. People are like, Debbie, did you know that you can do this on a home sewing machine? And I could say, did you know I wrote a book about that 16 years ago? So I was a little ahead of the curve, but now things are getting much better. They have feet. There are rulers to work with it. It works. It's a good time to be in quilting. You young whippersnappers don't know how good you have it. When I was your age, we didn't have all of these fun things for our sewing machines. Well, that is what I have for you for this week. I will play around with choices for my bloom border, and you should be starting to get your newsletter. It gets sent out in batches automatically, so maybe you'll have it by the time we're done here. If you have any questions, I'm easy to find on social media. All social media is Debbie Brown Quilts, which is the site you're on right now. You can, if you do not get a newsletter from me, you can go to DebbyBrownQuilts.com, scroll down and sign up for my newsletter. I send it kind of at most once a week, and for a long time, a lot of times it's not even that often. So I won't bother you. And usually I only send it whenever I say, hey, look, new free video type of thing. So I promise I don't bother you a lot, because I don't like having a jammed email box. And I respect your time. So thanks for spending your time with me. Oh, any guesses on what next month's animal is? Because I'm really excited about it. I sent pictures to my daughter, and she realized that it was based on a quilt I'd made her when she was a little girl. And it is, except it's color blockified. But it was really cute that my 32-year-old daughter recognized that this morning when I sent her pictures. But have a great day. Stay safe if you're in the hot zone. Stay dry if you're in the wet zone. I happen to be in both, so I hope to just stay powerful, full of power. Happy quilting, everyone. I will be back tomorrow night, Wednesday night, New York time, 7 o'clock, and we will be talking about basting our quilts. And bring your questions, and I'll go over a few different ways to baste your quilts and talk about one of the classes I have on that. And then I'll be back again next week to go over more new videos. Turtles is on the list, but that's not it. Hugs and cool, dry weather to you. Happy quilting, everyone. I'll see you again tomorrow or next week.